Okay, what we're going to see on the program are two films made by Collins Radio. The first one, if Charlie can get it queued up here, the title of it is Built Up 1961, and it was filmed and put out by the company in 1961. It was a color 16 millimeter film, and the AV department, I don't know, some 10 years ago, converted it to a DVD. But they didn't make any menu or anything. They just chained a whole slew of films together, and that's why we're having trouble getting it queued up. But it takes place in 1961, and I think it was primarily used for recruitment, showing to new engineers and so forth. And I'll give you just a little quick rundown of what you'll see. The first part of it, it runs about 20 minutes. The first part of it does a survey of the different buildings in Cedar Rapids. Then it goes down to Dallas and gives you a survey of the facilities in Dallas. Then to Newport Beach and Santa Ana, and then finally back to buildings 120 and 121 in Cedar Rapids. And then across the street, they brag about having 12 acres under one roof on C Avenue. Then there's some film footage shot in main plant and out at the Collins hangar at the airport. Then up to the Toronto, Ontario plant, which doesn't exist anymore. About 5 years ago, I went by there just to see what it looked like. I spent many years going back and forth to Toronto. And you turn down the street, yep, there's all the same businesses and everything, and then all of a sudden it's like going through a time warp. It's nothing at all like it used to be. It's townhouses and streets and shrubbery and where our parking lot used to be. Okay, then the following items in the film are, talks about the amateur S-line and the movie Lawrence of Arabia and the KWM-2. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but one of our field service engineers was on location when they filmed the movie Lawrence of Arabia in the Jordanian desert, and his job was to maintain communications back to the movie company's headquarters in Amman with KWM-2s and other equipment. Then it talks about Project Echo, which was the satellite communications Collins did out here at Echo Hill Road. Finally, there's an X-15 launch. We had equipment on it. It shows it being launched from the wing of a B-52. And then they talk about the first man in space and the launch of Freedom 7. So that kind of dates it right there. I mean, that was, I think, Alan Shepard's launch in 1961. The second film, if we have time, and it'll be easier to queue up, was shot in 1976. And its title is The Collins Radio Story. How are we doing back there? Are we about ready to go? Okay. Well, let me just go through this. If anybody has to leave before we get to the second film, why, there'll be a little quick break there.
One thing before you get your mic, I'm going to talk about the...
Sure. The Eastern Iowa Science and Engineering Fair is happening a month to the day after the Weather Spotter Trail. So it'll be March 21st over at Lindale Hall. There's a big science fair. We get people from high school and middle school students from all over the area. This club, along with the Cedar Valley Amateur Radio Club, has jointly co-sponsored a special award that's given out at the science fair for the best use of radio or radio electronics. We're doing this to encourage interest in the hobby and interest in technology. In the past, this club has generously offered $50 to support that joint prize, and I move that you continue that tradition.
I second that. All those in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And then the next thing is, if you're interested in volunteering to help judge for that award, contact me, Mike, EC0NXNARRL.net, or you can find me
Good.
here. If you do it in the company mail, I'd like A.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, the second film is called The Collins Radio Story. It was shot in 1976 after we were part of Rockwell International. It's quite well done. It starts out with a lot of historical photos of the Byrd expedition. And then it goes into the B-1 bomber, the L-1011 auto landing demo. You'll watch them land the L-1011 with hands off the yoke. Then it talks about the deep space dish antennas that Collins did, I think through subcontractors, mainly out of Dallas. The ham equipment line, and then winds up talking about the tactical data system that we supplied to the Navy back in the 60s. So,
Tell them what minutes.
are we about there?
Tell them what minute you want. 40.
It's roughly 40 into it.
I don't know, Rob, should this say 40 or 40? When you hit
No,
20
that, no.
when you hit 20 minutes, it's
40 minutes. You're
okay. Did
20.
you say 40?
40, yeah.
So this part,
The two films ahead of it are 20 minutes long.
Blue line. Yeah, your blue line on 40.
Little flag letters at the
Yeah, yeah, right about in there.
Make it happen.
That's the previous one. That's up on the screen.
This is the previous one, Ron?
Gotta plug it in.
No, well, let me look at it a second.
Distributing and utilizing information.
Yeah, let's run with this one. I think this is the right one.
At Compton's is the
Okay, this will be it coming up.
Rod, while we're waiting,
Yes,
May 9th is junk in the trunk.
May 9th, junk in the trunk, main plant parking lot. Yep. That's it. I think this is building 120 they're pouring concrete on. Yep, this is it. Or 121. Can we get more sound? Is there more sound?
On 650 acres of land. Sales set a new record at $215 million. Product diversification reached a new high. This report describes briefly these new growth areas in Collins' 1961 build-up. Facilities. And product achievement. First, the build-up in facilities. Function as well as
This is Dallas.
keynote in the architectural design. The new 24,000 square foot antenna building at the Dallas 230 acre site will utilize range towers to control field antennas. Standard railroad tracks for vehicular experiments will extend from each tower. The new laboratory is designed expressly to create, test and evaluate prototype antennas and conduct propagation studies. Within camera eye distance from the antenna research lab, the handsome manufacturing building. Spanning 120,000 square feet, this structure will be equipped with the most modern manufacturing facilities. Advanced fabrication techniques will be employed here to maximize efficiency. The manufacturing building is located near the Texas Division Research and Development Building, which was the first structure erected on the site. A new division only months old is the Information Science Center at Newport Beach, California. ISC is concentrating on research and development of computer programming techniques and information systems. This division is also the R&D arm of the new Systems Division. And in nearby Santa Ana is the West Coast operation of Communication Accessories Company, Collins Components Division. At Cedar Rapids, Iowa, is the data center of Collins Communication and Data Systems Division. This new two-story, 36,875 square foot structure serves Collins division and sales offices throughout North America with automatic voice and data communication, message switching, and electronic data processing. Data links from divisions, subsidiaries, and sales offices, Newport Beach, Dallas, New York, Washington, and Dayton are being installed over standard 4-wire telephone lines. The upper floor of the data center accommodates rows of tape units.
50 megabytes.
Large-scale computers and associated data processing peripheral equipment.
Running at 5 a day.
The ground floor contains switching exchanges, data transmission terminals, and radio communication equipment. Data services for accounting, manufacturing, sales, and engineering are provided by transmission from company stations to the data center via high-speed Kineplex equipment for processing and return. The network also furnishes interplant private line telephone, teleprinter.
This is the old Com Central antenna switch right here.
Maintenance areas assure rigid climate control and non-interrupted service. Collins CD design of communication and data processing techniques for industry and government applications. The CDS Center adjoins the Cedar Rapids Division Research and Development Laboratory, which was the initial structure on the 165-acre complex. Expansion has required engineering personnel to move from this building to the fabrication building on the Iowa site.
Yeah, 106.
This structure has been expanded by 126,000 square feet to provide some 12 acres of floor space under roof. The manufacturing techniques employed here are the natural result of many years of fabrication experience. The objective is simply to produce the highest quality at the lowest possible cost. The new buildings in Cedar Rapids take their place among those which have become landmarks in Cedar Rapids. Notable is the main plant, now 20 years old. Airport laboratory and hangars, and a score of others. At Toronto, the new Collins Radio Company of Canada Limited has doubled the floor space. Employment at the Canadian subsidiary is 600. The New York sales office has moved to the Time and Life building. Build up phase 2 is sales organization growth. An international sales organization of 200 persons guides marketing operations overseas. International sales offices and subsidiaries are located at Paris, at Frankfurt, down under at Melbourne, and Geneva, Beirut, Tokyo, and Rio de Janeiro. Collins products are sold abroad direct and through an organization of 85 international dealers in almost as many countries. The domestic sales force, including all divisions, now exceeds 600 persons. This staff markets products direct and through an organization of 95 aviation distributors who sell the flight-proven Collins line of aviation products, and an organization of 98 distributors who sell Collins' distinguished line of single sideband amateur products, representatives who sell Collins components. Build-up phase 3 is product achievement. Typical of developments in this area is Collins' amateur F line, which has been expanding in volume for the past 5 years and has been widely accepted as the finest equipment available in the amateur fraternity. Some of the amateur units, along with other Collins communications,
This is Lawrence of Arabia
are
here.
the basic units in a network unique to movie production. Here in the Jordanian desert, hundreds of miles from the nearest telephone, the producers of the film Lawrence of Arabia radios to communicate with widely separated location units. On the deserts of Jordan or the deserts of California, Collins radio started its reputation of high-quality radio. The world's fastest jet fighters are equipped with Collins communication, navigation, and instrumentation packages. From these concise modular packages to the most effective worldwide communication system existent, short order, the voice of the strategic. Short order operates around the clock, stands ready to cut drastically the reaction time of U.S. retaliation in the event of enemy attack. Short order, classic example of competency in communication. Collins microwave communication installations now cover the U.S. and are used in many areas abroad. These systems serve the railroad. The petroleum industry. Telephone companies and government agencies. Since 1934, when Collins introduced its first transmitters, the firm has continued to build its reputation for high-quality broadcast equipment. The equipment ranges